Welcome to Taxidermy Truths, where we discuss the ins and outs of not only the taxidermy process, but the influences on the hunting community as a whole. With over 25 years in the wildlife and taxidermy industry, I host open conversations with artists, experts, and industry giants. From sustainable utilization to shipping rates, we dig into the reality of the experience after the safari and hear real stories worth remembering. Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Taxidermy Truths. Thanks for joining us. We have an incredibly interesting guest with us today, a gentleman that I would like to introduce because I will be eternally grateful for the role he's played at Splitting Image Taxidermy for the past, we figured it out, about 10, 11 years.
It's about 10, 11 years, yeah.
Mr. Karl Schoemaker is a very, very gifted photographer who, when we first met, was shooting with a 12-kilogram Hasselblad camera. And I've seen his evolution through various cameras to mirrorless to all the rest. I keep telling him that I can do better on my cell phone, which I can't. But yeah, to introduce Karl Schoemaker, thank you for joining us. Thank you for everything you've done for Splitting Image Taxidermy. It's cool to have you here.
Yeah, it's lekker to be here. And thanks for those kind words. Jeez, you're making me blush, man. I'm not going to respond on the cell phone thing.
Just prior to sitting down, we pulled up the cell phone, and there was a picture of a much younger me sitting in the background of a photo shoot it was Pickering Street?
Yeah, that's right. I had a big warehouse there. I remember that shoot.
That was cool. You had all this graffiti around the back of the studio, kind of split level with was it a pinball machine or a...
Yeah, I had a pinball machine there, pool table. It was a proper, almost like an old school 70s studio, you know, where debauchery should happen, but unfortunately never did.
You know what? I remember walking in and seeing that cage in the corner and seeing all your camera equipment neatly locked away. So obviously the insurance bill would have been high if you hadn't spent as much on looking after your equipment.
Yeah, my broker was very grateful when I sent her a photo of that cage and said, okay, we accept that. That's cool. And that graffiti I remember very well. It was a whole lot of camera heads. That's right. Very talented artist Bake, Warren Peterson, did for me.
Okay.
In fact, he's done a lot of my tattoos as well.
I know you've got
seriously talented.
Some incredible artwork all over you.
Yeah.
Your arms have progressed into sleeves and.
Yeah, they have. They've become full sleeves. I've got
quite amazingly. If Karl stands up, you'll see he's quite tall now. He used to be about 5'1", but he tattooed a 6'2" guy on top of him. One of his earlier works. Anyway, enough of the back and forth. Karl, the reason I asked you to join us, aside from saying thank you for everything you've contributed, as an artist, your medium is camera.
That's right.
All right.
To use a cliche, painting with light.
Yeah, but it's true.
It is true.
You've been a master of manipulating light around the taxidermy shoots that we've been doing with you for the past 10, 11 years. Your background, just as a quick whirlwind summary, I know you've done quite a bit of work in the mines underground.
Yep.
Anything that you can kind of add to that? Because you didn't just pick up a camera and off you go.
No, I actually studied photography at university. I did an honours degree in fine arts at Rhodes, Bachelor of Fine Arts, where I majored in photography and trained under great surfing photographer Obi Oberholzer, which I was very, very fortunate to do. Then National Service, where I was a photographer in the Air Force. It's where I learned aerial photography.
Right.
And professionally, I see myself as a commercial industrial photography, and more on the industrial side, specifically, as you mentioned, mining. I do a lot of mining work. That's where most of my income comes from.
It's some of the work you've done in the mines is radical because, I mean, you take different perspectives and you're using the mines to refract and move light. So I've never seen one of your shots that's flat. There's always incredible depth of field.
Yeah, the mining is a very tricky, challenging environment to work in. Because obviously if you're shooting for an annual report or report to society, something like that, you want the place to look beautiful.
Absolutely.
And they're not the most beautiful places to go to. And that's why, especially with shooting underground and stuff like that, it's how you use light and how you change things a little bit with light while still telling the truth to make it more dramatic.
More dramatic.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. I mean, we see a lot of incredible animals come through the studio. And we believe in presenting the animal in its best pose, in its best form, making sure that it's anatomically correct.
Yeah.
Taxidermy as an art form is about presenting our subject
Well, it's a form of sculpture.
beautifully. It's a form of sculpture, absolutely. And a sculpture being three-dimensional without the light would be flat.
Yeah, exactly. You'll miss all the subtleties of the muscles of the sinew, the way the fur's traveling, for lack of a better word. But it's interesting because I've been doing your work for 10, 11 years now, and I never shot taxidermy before.
Yeah.
So, but to me at the time it was just another subject. And I've also watched how the work that Splitting Images produce has changed over the last 10, 11 years, where the subtleties, as I mentioned, are coming through a lot more now, where it's not your standard cliched poses that have been done with animals, where there's more action, there's more movement. And I'm going to use that word again, there's more subtlety in the turn of the shoulders. Like I think you did a new kudu mount. I think it was a kudu mount recently, the shoulder mount, where the changes are minuscule, but they make a huge difference to it. And that's what makes the photography so much easier as well, because they become a lot easier to photograph in that respect.
It's easier to capture. I've watched you on various shoots where you'll walk in and I'll be looking from the left and you'll say, no, the better angle's here. You just see things differently because you're painting with light and you're seeing the angles with almost a fresh set of eyes.
It is, because as a photographer, you're seeing shots all the time.
Yes.
And what you're going to do is try and cut off your peripheral vision and concentrate on that shot. That's why it's very old school directors doing that sort of thing, trying to see the image. And that's basically what you're doing. You're looking through the camera. Now, with a lot of people shooting on the back of the camera, they're not getting as much because you get disturbed by the peripheral instead of concentrating on the shots and concentrating on the image. Because a lot of things with photography, and our last show is a very good example of that, was sometimes it's what you don't photograph, it's what you don't show that makes what you are photographing greater.
Okay, very interesting. You remember the shoot we did of the full mount Birchall zebra in the hair salon?
Oh, at Shag, yes, I remember that. That was one of those agree to disagree moments between us. Yeah. I wanted to do a specific shot and you wanted to do, so we did both.
We did both. Yeah. And the one that we eventually got was actually your parting shot. On the way out, you quickly snapped off an angle that we hadn't planned at all. And to this day, we use it. I think I put a baboon skull in the foreground. That's right. Just to get the three. You had the 3
complete
points.
The composition, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's happened a lot with us, where we plan shoots and it's those as we're parting shot sort of thing where it turns out to be the greater shot.
It does. Look, some of the planned shots that we've done, this guy's got me into the studio at 3:30 in the morning.
That was the first shoot we did together here. With the
just
elephants.
So that we could get this blue-colored light coming through the sawtooth windows in the factory. You were still shooting with the Hasselblad back then.
Yes, that's right.
And, we were trying to encompass scale. And we were trying to get this blue light. And again, it was about the light and about framing it. I was just sitting there going, why has he got me up before coffee? But that photograph has been used many, many times. We definitely used the photography to portray an image that at that stage of the business's sort of lifespan, we were boxing above our level. We compacted a lot of trophies around 1 cent a piece.
Yeah.
And the whole outcome was that the company looked incredibly professional because of the way you structured the shot.
And what I didn't photograph.
And what you didn't photograph. That was a great shoot.
It was. It was It was an early morning, but we wanted that pre-dawn sky coming through the windows. And I remember as a friend of ours, Simon, who's partly involved in that as well. I remember he arrived at about 7 in the morning. I'm sure he was still in his pajamas.
No, he arrived thinking he was here early. We were busy packing up. The shoot was done and dusted.
Yeah, that's right.
That was good fun. The cigar shoot.
With Freddie.
Yes.
With the giraffe skull.
Freddie, the panel beating German.
Yes.
I'll be back. Exactly. I think the brief was I'm wanting this kind of imposing, intimidating guy, cigar in hand, looking up at a neck mount of a giraffe. Since then,
surveying his work.
Correct, surveying his work, kind of blowing the smoke rings around, and it was quite cool. I enjoyed that because Freddie was a character.
And he was very intimidating.
And he was rather intimidating. Still is, actually, for that matter. And since then, we've sold numerous neck mounts of giraffes. And that, I believe, was almost the tipping point where we started the osteology drive in Splitting Image Taxidermy to create skeletons and also celebrate the skeletal structures of animals.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was where it started.
That was kind of the first mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Yet another mission.
Because my job is to make you look good. That's my job.
That's a tough job.
Yeah, I know.
That's a hard job. I'll tell you that
let's
for free.
Let's rephrase it. My job is to make your product look good.
Thank you. Much easier. This was then the first volume of a new concept brochure where it's a book, it's a story.
Yeah.
It encapsulates our branding and our position worth remembering, and it really has done incredibly well for us. Once again, that's one of your photographs on the cover, was the skeleton of a sable reared up. That took about 8 people and a very slow drive to get it onto site. You came up with this amazing facility, which is an old broken down building with this incredible staircase.
Which everybody signed a waiver because that staircase was dodgy as.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, the floor was collapsing, and it was quite something.
They're about to tear it down. That's the last photograph ever taken in that area because that staircase was taken down a few weeks later. Because it was unsafe.
It was unsafe, 100%. But it had that beautiful curved wall at the back.
It's one of my favorite shots I've done for you guys.
And there you were.
And that was technically a very challenging shot.
And painting with light.
Yeah,
once again.
Exactly. And there's no way I could have gotten the light on that skeleton the way it is while lighting the stairs like that. So that's why it ended up being a composite of a whole lot of different lighting that I did and then layered it all in.
That's incredible. I mean, that was the first concept of this brochure. We've got,
and that was not a parting shot. That was actually the one we planned to do.
We planned it. We got it right. We left. We had coffee. Life was good.
The parting shot, I think, is of that skeleton, and there's a monkey of sorts right in the corner of the shot peering down the staircase. I think it was you.
We also had a bit of fun afterwards. I think that's a big thing. Karl, we've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we have.
You know, we've had concept meetings where you get in there and you dream differently. Taxidermy, which had traditionally been quite conservative. Yes, there'd been some incredible photography from many very talented taxidermists and companies all over the world. But I think our approach to becoming a fashionable art form is somewhat different to a lot of other taxidermists out there. And to capture those moments with one photograph, it's been a challenge. But man, we've had fun.
Yeah, there have been and there's been a couple of stuff-ups, I admit. But but you know, if it's not fun, why are we doing it?
100%. It's been something that we look back on, and every photograph that we come up with from here going forward, we are pushing the limits. We've got a photo shoot that we're busy with at the moment. Definitely keep an eye out on this one. We're hoping to go for that one hit first time with this photograph. It doesn't always work. This is another brochure.
That was a passing shot.
That was a
leaving shot. It just as we were packing up, we were going for a coyote ugly sort of feel of the main shot, and it didn't quite come out as we imagined. And that was literally as packing up equipment, and I took that shot quickly.
And there we go.
It turned out to be the best
material,
shot.
something that's really done us well. It's something that's very unusual.
And Laura's a stunning, absolutely stunning model.
We've had so much conversation about the front covers because what is the inspiration behind these photographs? And quite often the inspiration is there's nothing that you can write down.
Yeah.
It's just right place, right time, right light, right subject. So that was our second volume, the third volume coming out 2024. And keep an eye out, obviously, on all of our social media handles, Splitting Image Taxidermy, YouTube channels. We've got some back scene shots and some video work coming up on how these photographs are taken. And you'll see Karl very much involved and driving his cameras and orchestrating the photographs. Huh?
Pointing a lot.
Pointing a lot, yeah, that's it. And then obviously me with my cell phone taking the final image, which never ever gets used. Karl, from a professional standpoint, where do you see opportunities with photography meeting up with taxidermy and the hunting industry? Is a kind of a pro tip. We get asked by hunters, outfitters, people in the field very regularly, how can I get a better shot?
Yeah.
If you had one out the pocket pro tip for a guy who's walking around with his Samsung or his iPhone, what would that, just off the cuff, one pro tip be?
Very quick off the cuff is don't overthink it.
Okay.
Don't complicate things. Keep things simple.
Right.
You're shooting what you're shooting. You're shooting with your eyes. Forget that you got a phone in your hand. It's just a tool. So look, if you like what you're looking at, shoot it and try and capture it within that frame. Remember, cutting off all the peripheral that's all around it. And sometimes, like shooting a mount or shoot it at a hunt, shooting your kill with yourself and your kill. People shoot it too wide and there's so much stuff around that the actual prize is insignificant, the focus of the shot. So crop in, get in close, get in tight.
Okay. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, keep it clean.
I quite like what you just said there. If you like it, shoot it. I think that's the motto of most hunters. If you like it, shoot it.
Photograph it.
Photograph it. There we go. But okay, makes a lot of sense. We see a lot of hunt trophy photographs with clients, and some better than others. We always tell the professional hunters and the outfitters, please spend the time on taking a good photograph. These are memories we're dealing with. These are moments that you're capturing, that cliche that a photograph speaks 1,000 words. It is true. Because if it's a flat photograph, you lose it. You lose that moment. And it's the same with photographing taxidermy. You photographed recently, we had a revolving piece of a lion and a lioness.
Yes, that lastminute.com sheet.
That one, those ones. Where the mount comes out so well, where this beautiful piece of art comes out so well that guys, it's time to bring in the professional. You've helped Splitting Image Taxidermy set up our own in-house photographic studio and been of tremendous, you've been a mentor in many respects to the young creatives that we have in the industry, or specifically in Splitting Image Taxidermy. That just shows the level that you operate, because most photographers would rather turn around and say, well, either I take the photograph or, I'm out.
No, that's value destructive.
100%. Where you've stepped in and said, hey, guys, wow, that was a great photograph. I remember in the earlier days, Warwick, who's our sales manager, he was taking the photographs.
That's right,
and he did some really cool shots. He did some special ones, but he did some really good stuff that we used in the marketing, because what must be taken into consideration is a professional of your caliber, we invest in you taking the photographs. This is not something that Karl comes along and goes, hey, Doug, I'll do it for a cup of coffee. It's not airy-fairy or flouncy. You are a professional in your field. You're recognized in South Africa. This is how you make a living as a professional photographer. So Splitting Image Taxidermy has always paid the bill, because we want to present our artwork in the best possible light, quite literally. And the way that Karl brings his skills to the table and sets things up and is involved, he doesn't come here with a crew of people. He's the guy moving lights 1 centimeter to the left, 1 inch to the right, making sure that the shot is exactly what we invest in. You've changed the way that we photograph our product. It's been special.
Thank you.
Really, really special.
It's quite a thing to hear. That's very cool. But what you said about sharing things and is one thing I've got. the father of knowledge management, Drucker. And what he said, there's that old adage, information is power.
Yes.
And information is not power. Information is power when it's shared for the greater good.
Yes, absolutely.
That's when it becomes power.
Absolutely.
And that is, and information could be data, could be anything, and it's knowledge or it's skill. And if I don't want to share what I do with people, that's just stupid.
It is. I agree with you. I mean, our approach with this podcast, with a lot of what we do in our social media, is sharing what we're passionate about. And we hope that we inspire people, inspire other artists, inspire new companies in the future to take our art form of taxidermy to new levels.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, if you want to grow an organization in this industry, you have to invest in telling the story properly. Invest in the photographer. Invest in the videographer. I had a conversation with Simon Legras that you mentioned earlier. Simon's pro tip was go video. It's authentic. What you're saying is the same thing, essentially. Your profession brings something special. And it cannot be captured in just a fly-by photograph. It's not a case of shining a torch on an animal and taking a picture with his hand. It's multiple lights, and it's timing, and it's polishing. I mean, you've gone as far as putting a shine on one side of the animal and wetting the coat ever so slightly just to make it sort of glimmer. Karl's gone that extra mile to create beautiful shots that are, as we say, worth remembering. It's been quite radical.
And pre-visualize.
And pre-visualize. 100%.
And that's what happens beforehand. Always a good planning, good shoot.
Yeah.
And it contradicts what some of the things you've been saying, because it was that parting shot that ended up being the greatest shot.
The winner.
Yeah, being the winner. But
your light was in place.
Yes, absolutely.
Your equipment was in place. The intention, the subject. We'd planned as much as we could plan.
And that's what you've said is very important, is the word we. It's not just me. I might shoot on my own. I very rarely have an assistant. I carry my own stuff, set up and move things around as I need. I don't need a big crew. I don't need to put up equipment that I probably won't use anyway.
Exactly.
And bill for it. It's just silly. But it is a we, because I work together with you and your team. And without that, I wouldn't be able to produce the work I produce.
It's a collaboration of art forms.
Exactly. It is a collaboration.
Take the time. Go and check out some of Karl's incredible work. It really is amazing. Karl, spelled Karl _Schumaker, SCHOEMAKER. On Instagram, he's got a radical portfolio of mining shots, of taxidermy, and of an array of other subjects that he's photographed over the years. His story is one that is worth telling and certainly worth remembering. The contribution that Karl has made to Splitting Image Taxidermy is invaluable, because he's told our story. If each of his shots is worth 1,000 words, I don't think that would be true or accurate. It's worth 1,000,000 words. He's encapsulated what we're passionate about, which is taking the moment in time that a hunter experiences, turning it into a beautiful piece of art, and then Karl comes along and he cements it in time with a wonderful photograph. Karl, I'm very grateful, and it's part of our ethos to be thoughtful, thankful, and thorough. I'm very thankful for everything you've contributed over the last 10 years. I can't wait to see what we're capable of doing together, and coming up with more crazy and more different things that aren't expected. I look forward to your cameo shot. Keep an eye out for this one. It's going to happen. The man has got some of the most incredible tattoo artwork. I want to bring that into something with an animal and just make it fashionable, fun, eccentric. The man with cool orange glasses, and someone who's contributed so much to the successes that Splitting Image Taxidermy has had over the years. Karl, thank you.
No, thank you, Doug, and you're very welcome.
I'm
very excited to what we're going to do.
And let's go and do some more wild shots together. And like you said,
you're not talking tequila, are you?
No, we're not talking tequila, not this time. But I am saying, if we see it, let's shoot it.
There you go.
Thanks for watching, and we look forward to the next episode of Taxidermy Truths.